Hey everybody! Welcome to this live interview session. I'm Lena Leku and together with me are Manfred Steyer and Fanis Prodromou. These two people are valuable members of our Angular community and I'm very happy that we are here today. Before we start, let's see your comments on YouTube. Say hi, say where are you from, and you can start dropping your questions to Fanis and Manfred. So Manfred and Fanis, welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Let's start with some introductions. So Manfred, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Manfred Steyer. I'm a trainer and consultant for Angular, and I'm focusing on Angular in the enterprise. I'm helping a lot of companies with workshops and with consulting. And besides this, I'm also quite connected with the Angular community. I'm in the GDE program for Angular, and I blog a lot, I write a lot, I speak a lot at conferences.
And where are you located for the people that don't know you?
Oh yeah, I'm located here in Austria, but I always do a lot of stuff also in Germany, but also in other countries, mainly in Europe.
Fanis, tell us about yourself.
So from my side, I'm Fanis Prodromou. I'm Greek. I'm based in the last 3 years, let's say, something like that, Corfu, the Corfu Island. Like Manfred said previously, the Green Island. And I'm a senior Angular developer. I used to be a backend back in the days, but I think that I can tell that I fell in love with Angular, so I continue working with Angular. This is my passion, I guess. And I'm into the program, the Google Developer Expert Program, which is an amazing one. And yeah, I try to be active into the community. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I can find the time with YouTube videos, articles, or talks. And yeah, that's, I think, from my side.
Manfred, do you want to say a little bit about your work, some insights, what you are working right now? Whatever you can share, of course, because I know some things are not going to be easy to share with
Mm.
us. Anything that you are working on right now and it's interesting.
Yeah, I think there are several areas. In one area, we are doing a lot of workshops and consulting with our customers. Introducing micro frontends is quite often a topic, but also introducing signals is quite often a topic. It comes with a lot of questions, and we help people to find answers, but also stuff like how to organize the application in general and how to define a nice architecture for it. Sometimes instead of a micro frontend, people find that a monolith is more fitting, something like a modular monolith. So it is one thing, but it's subdivided into modules. So some people call it monolith. Yeah, and we try to show all those options to evaluate them and to help our customers to choose a good and fitting option and also to implement it nicely. Another area is open source. We are currently working on several open source libraries that help to streamline the usage of micro frontends, but also to streamline the usage of signals and the signal store.
Fanis, what about you?
From my side, like I said previously, so I will connect that. I try to be active by generating some more videos and articles and talks. So this is what keeps me busy, especially the videos. Sometimes it requires a lot of time. Sorry. And at the same time, I feel like although that I know the path that I have to walk towards the videos and all of the other things, I wasn't that much involved, like what Manfred said previously, into the open source, into the contributing with code. And I really wanted to be part of this one. And for many years, I don't know, something was blocking me not to, perhaps some internal thoughts. I managed to overcome these kind of internal thoughts, which are not helping. And now I try to be more active into the NGXS state management and do some more contributions whenever I find that there is a space to do so, like Spectator for the unit tests. And yeah, this is what I'm focusing on right now.
Just to know you better, do you want to share some hobbies or activities that you are passionate about? Manfred, do you want to start?
Well, hobbies and activities. I really love my job. That's one hobby. I love to play around with technologies, and I always do some side projects, not necessarily with Angular. Some years ago, I wrote my own 3D engine. It's just a toy engine, but I did not deal with something like this before. Somehow I circumvented this topic all the times. And so it was a lot of fun to implement something like this and to show how it works. It's more like a little boy is playing around and finding out things. It's not on a professional level, but it makes a lot of fun to re-implement such building blocks like a 3D engine or like a compiler and so on. Or neural network to find out if this is a cat or not just by coding something by hand. Besides of this, I love cinema, I love movies. I'm currently watching Marvel movies with my son. All of them, really all of them. He really loves them. And so I discovered this field that I also like it. And we play now on our Nintendo Switch together, which is also a lot of
These are two parts that I so sometimes I feel like looking forward my daughter to grow up a bit so that we can start watching movies like that and play video games. She's only
yeah.
3 years old, so we are like only on Peppa for now. But yeah, looking forward for that level.
Yeah, that's a cool period.
Yeah, definitely.
Any nice game that you're playing right now in Nintendo Switch?
Well, we currently played Super Mario Wonder. I was really impressed because I know those traditional Super Mario games, but Super Mario Wonder is on a whole different level. It's
Another
still
level,
3D,
yes.
but it's really beautiful, nicely done. A lot of options I would never think about as someone who played the original Super Mario. It's really nicely done.
Nice,
Nice.
sounds
Funny.
good. So from my side, no video games. I'm not a guy of, but to be honest with you, I tried in the past to be attached to the video games, but I don't know. It's not that my type. Unless if I have company, sometimes in the past I used to play video games with my wife. But other than that, what was the initial question? I got
Hobbies and activities that you are
hobbies.
passionate about.
Yeah. So two main hobbies, other than the main work that I like it. Two hobbies. The first one is mountain hiking, and especially during the winter period with snow. This is this is the part that you can imagine that you are in the middle of nowhere, which is the mountain, and you are a small tiny thing, and you have the mountain which is very big around you, and that feeling is there. It's great. This is one, and the other one is scuba diving, and I split that. Winter I have mountain hiking, and summer I have the scuba diving. These are the two things that yeah, I like spending time there.
So probably you are wishing your child to be a sport one too in the future.
Yeah. Especially for the hikings, we already had not mountain hikings, but very easy trails. We had two of them, and yeah, it was a very good one. I kinda train here from now for this part.
Nice. And before we go to another subject, can you tell us a fun fact, something that probably our community doesn't know about yourself, Manfred?
Yeah, so one fun fact is I don't talk much about it, but then, when I was in school, my parents told me, well, Manfred, you are that clumsy. You cannot do a technical job. You cannot go to a technical high school. And so they put me into a business school. It's a special kind of high school with a lot of business education. And it was so boring there. It was not bad, this kind of education, but it was really boring. I did not have any interest into bookkeeping and into business economics and so on. And so after high school, I quickly decided to study computer science.
That's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
Fanis,
So,
what about you?
to be honest with you, when I heard that question, I wasn't sure how to reply. But since Manfred took that direction, from my side, I had a passion for physiotherapy, and that was my goal, and that was my dream. And I tell my parents that, you know what, I will become this kind of guy. I would like to study this, and they were like, perhaps you have to give it a try with commuting. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't like it. And then they bought me the first computer, and I was like, okay, I know. Now I know what I want to become. And no more physiotherapy.
This is a very common story to our generation. When the computer was appearing in our houses and then everything changed.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, going
However,
to...
however,
go on.
having this kind of profession, I think all of us we need some therapies from a physiotherapy guy for our back, for sure.
I can agree with this. Um, Fun fact about me, I have broken my leg, so I know exactly what Fanny says. I just finished physiotherapy, so yes, we all need physiotherapy at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to another subject and talk about CityJS, which is in 1 week, very close, I will say. And
Uh,
because you are both speakers in this, I will ask you what's your topic and what you're going to discuss about in CityJS. Manfred, you can go ahead
mhm.
first.
Well, I will discuss how those new, and they are not even that new, but this generation of lightweight stores change our architecture. Because a lot of people are used to Redux-based stores, but more and more communities have more and more lightweight stores that don't follow the Redux pattern. And having such a lightweight store really changes a lot. It brings up a lot of questions. And yeah, I try to answer those questions in my talk.
And Fanny, what are you going to talk about in CityJS?
So from my side, uh, before I elaborate on that one, uh, the main idea was to present the new cool things that Angular has, and they were like, yeah, this is easy. I have to pick 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and that's it, and boom. And but it's not 1, 2, 3, 4 points. There are that many cool things. Everything new is super amazing. And the fun fact is that I have something like 190 slides, something like that. No, this is not going to be my presentation, but I was changing my mind constantly. This has never happened to me. You have a plan, and okay, I picked that one, and then I was changing my mind. No, perhaps the other one will be much better. I was focusing to that one, and then again and again and again. Anyways, I make up my mind, and I will talk about the control flow. How cool is that, and why is it cool? Not only about how we can code, but how it can also automatically provide better performance for us. This is one thing. The other one is defer blocks, which is I think it's I really like the defer blocks and the way that they work. In the past, we had to do many tricks to lazy load chunks other than the routing. But if you're going to have another chunk, you're going to have some tricks to achieve that. The other one is signals for sure, and some signal APIs, including inputs and the outputs, and what is the effect on this one into the change detection and overall performance. And a small one, a very small one about ESBuild and Vite, and how this change the performance, which is, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing. And like I said,
Nice.
it was hard to decide which one to go.
Maybe you
So
can
many.
prepare a second part and the second talk for the ones that are going to be skipped in your talk.
This is a good one, and perhaps they will be part of my YouTube channel. Since I have the material there, I will just have the videos.
And I don't know if you have the time to see the schedule, but are you excited for, apart from your topics, are you excited for a specific topic or another speaker that you want to see in person? I will ask Fanis just for the
The
change.
change, yeah. I remember there is. I don't remember the name, but there is a talk about event loop in OJS, and I really want to see what are the questions and the problems that he's going to solve into that talk. Yeah, looking forward to this one.
Manfred?
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to meet Zach Jackson again. He is the inventor of Module Federation, and we use Module Federation a lot in consulting, in our trainings with our customers. And for this reason, I really work closely together with him since years. We have been early adopters in this space. And so, yeah, I will really like or love it to have the opportunity to discuss some stuff with him face to face, because it's so different than just discussing via Slack or Twitter.
And let's go further to our discussion to talk about Angular. And the first question I want you to answer is, what inspires you to become an Angular developer? What is the one thing that made you be so focused on this framework? Manfred, you go ahead.
Yeah, that's quite a funny story. So back then I did a lot of .NET, and my story was to provide web APIs that use OR mappers. And on the other side of those web APIs for my story, I needed some UI. And I saw that .NET was providing less and less useful stuff for this story. But I also was seeing that JavaScript became more and more important. This was, let's say, in 2008, 2010. So it's quite a time ago. And this really was nice for me because I always loved JavaScript. I remember around 2000, I think 2002, we used too much JavaScript in an application, and the customer forced us to implement it in a different way because they did not want to have JavaScript in there back then. So it was a whole different story back then. JavaScript was seen as something that's bad and that comes with security issues and so on. And yeah, I was really into this topic. And so I started looking into those frameworks. And I started with Knockout.js, which is not a big thing anymore. But back then it was shipped alongside Visual Studio for .NET. So it was just in there. And so getting started with it was easy. But it took me not that long to realize that Knockout was only a little part of the story, a little mosaic stone, because it was mainly about data binding. And by the way, already back then, it had something like signals. So this concept was really already used back then in, I don't know, 2010 plus minus. And because I realized it's just one little mosaic stone of the whole overall story, I wanted to focus on AngularJS back then. It was AngularJS 1.2, and it provided everything, or at least more of the things I needed, HTTP access and dealing with services and structure and modules and pipes, the whole story, testing and so on. And yeah, then I quickly moved over to Angular 2, which is now just Angular. I moved over during the alpha phase, and during the beta phase, I already helped customers to adopt it because customers were in a strange situation back then. AngularJS was not fully gone, and Angular was not fully there. And so they were somewhere in the middle. And some of those customers decided to start with Angular, even though it was in beta, because they said, well, moving from Angular beta to Angular final is perhaps easier than moving from Angular JS to Angular. And yeah, I helped a lot of customers in that space back then. And this is how I landed not just in the Angular JS, but in the Angular community.
And Fanis, what inspired you to become an Angular developer?
I like the path that Manfred had. A very good one. Uh, so from my side, sort of same starting point. I used to be backend developer, like I said previously, .NET with C#, and I was focusing mainly into integration, migration, and stuff like that, inter-system communication, and that I was very good on that one, and I really liked it. And I remember that we had, if you remember back then, a front-end developer, I'm not sure what was the situation in other countries, but at least in Greece, the situation was a front-end developer was like, you're not a good engineer if you are a front-end developer. Because after all, what you have to do is to deal with CSS colors. Really? Are you just changing the colors and you feel that you are an engineer? Anyway, so I had this part in my mind. And then I remember a CTO landed in a company that I already worked on, and he asked me if I am a backend developer or front-end developer. And I told him that I'm a backend developer. And perhaps he had something wrong. I don't know. And he thought that I said perhaps front-end. And he was like, okay, from now on, you will be our front-end developer. I was like, crap, I said something else. But that was a great inspiration for me. And I started having the POCs and prove the other guys that being a front-end developer, it requires to study a lot and solve with a very big stack. The stack is really very big. And I had different POCs. I don't remember now what was the frameworks. For sure, it was Backbone. Do you remember if we had Ember back then?
I think it was the first generation of single page application frameworks.
Yeah, and one more, and AngularJS. And I had the POC, and I really liked AngularJS. And this is how I started. And since then, yeah, no more backend, at least some Node.js part, and mainly focusing into Angular and front end. And colors.
And
No.
of course. And Fanis, which features do you like the most in Angular and why?
Uh, I think the last part is defer blocks, which is I really like. Why? Because we can with few lines of code, we can create chunks and we can improve the performance of our page by just having different. What actually have in mind is the following: a UX designer, UI designer, they design a page, and that page might have different paths, different user flows. But despite that, what we're doing is that we are downloading everything for every path, every flow, which is not the right way. With the defer blocks, you can minimize that and you can activate whatever you like when it has to be activated. So this is one of the parts that I really like. Signals, for sure. Yeah, this will improve. Has already improved the performance and the way that we type. I don't know. There are that many features, and I can continue. Start talking and talking. When I said signals, and then I had in mind perhaps control flow as well. And but yeah, I will stop talking here, and perhaps Manfred can fill in more cool features.
Yeah, I
Manfred, what's
also
your favorite?
I also like signals. It also demands us to think in a different way, and I think that's good for our architecture. I like standalone components, but I think in general, and I always say this, even though I'm an Angular guy, in general, it does not matter if you take Angular or another framework on a technical level, because all those frameworks have similar possibilities nowadays. And I think project success or project failure is not a result of using this or that framework. I think if you use just one framework that is heavily used out there, that has a community, a larger community, that is not just a one-day wonder, you will have succeed, or you can succeed with it. But one thing I really like in Angular in general is it gives me this full package of everything we need, or at least of a lot of things we need. And we don't need to combine a lot of different libraries. It is just one package, and yeah, everything works more or less seamlessly together.
Yeah, I cannot
And
agree more with this one. I remember, just to have a discussion on that one, I remember that I wanted, of course, to play around with other frameworks, and I tried some of them. I won't name them so to avoid having bad comments, but I tried that, and you know what? A Hello World, it was very easy, and I can tell perhaps it was much easier compared to Angular. That exercise happened something like 3 years ago, and then I wanted more features, and I was like, okay, let's improve. It's not only Hello World. I want to have now routing. Okay, and now this is comes to your comment previously, Manfred. Which library for routing? Forms.
Hmm.
Which library for forms? Is it this one or the other one? And I was then trying to compare. Perhaps this one has more downloads compared to the other one. That downloads, I mean, into the npm. And that was the part that, yeah, I didn't like it either. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to have just one part, a solution for my job to do it, and I don't want to start keep thinking A or B or C. So yeah, I cannot agree more on what you said, Manfred.
One thing
since
that is also
Angular,
really cool, sorry, is how
sorry.
backward compatible everything is in the Angular space. So even though they gave us those new features you talked about before, like signals and the variables, existing code still works. And I think this is something the community, especially the community in the enterprise, really needs to have, because there we quite often have software packages that need to evolve over years or decades if you think about insurance companies or banking companies. I just wanted to add this. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah,
No
and
worries.
I think it's very valid one. And I remember that I had a discussion with a friend of mine, and he told me, with all of that many features, our project now is it's not fresh anymore, and we cannot go there. And I was like, why? You can do everything with ng update, have migrations, and everything will happen for you. Just just magic. So yeah, this is the good thing. And sometimes people think that every new feature that exists out there, they will need ages to migrate. But it's happened very fast.
I'm waiting because I'm not sure if you have another comment.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
so I will go to another question. So we have some announcements lately with the new update of Angular with a new version. The first question I want you is to do is how do you stay updated with all these new features and new versions? What's your go-to place, or how you are managing to make your update through these versions? So, Manfred?
Mhm. So most of the times I'm going through the change log, perhaps even during the beta phase or the release candidate phase, and I'm trying out those new features. I'm playing around with them. I'm writing little tiny demo applications with them, And then I use these demo applications to blog about those topics. And interestingly, also when blogging about it, also when writing your findings down, you still learn something, because suddenly you have to have the right words and you have to express it in a solid way. And this really helps you to think it through one more time and to improve your knowledge about it.
And do you secure time in your workday for this, for experiment with new things? Or it's just when you don't want to do anything else, you just go ahead and experiment?
Yeah, that's a good question. So before I did trainings and consulting full time, I did it in my free time, because in project business there was not enough time and we have not been allowed to play that much around with new stuff. But now, since I'm doing consulting and trainings full time, this is part of my job. And yeah, I really love this part.
What about you, Fanny? How do you
This one.
stay updated?
Uh, Same here, changelog is the main part. And lately there are also great not newsletters actually that you can follow either in LinkedIn, and they are doing amazing job there. And of course, Enea as well. I'm following him, and I know everything that's up there. So from different parts, but the main part is same here, changelog. And then of
And
course I
same
have
question to you. Sorry, same question for you if you secure time on your workday or you're doing this on extra hours.
this is extra hours. So since I'm project based, I do not have the time to do this during the working hours. So extra hours means that I start early in the morning, something like 7 a.m., 7:30, something like that, and then I have one and a half minute, 1 hour and a half, 30 minutes for this, and then at the end of my work, so something like that. And during the weekends, when my little one, when my daughter is sleeping, then it's the time to start coding. And sometimes it's tricky to find this kind of time, but I feel like A, I really like it. B, I don't I don't have to not to be active in that one. I feel like that if I'm not active, I will get old, if you know what I mean. So I have to be active all the time.
Have you seen the live stream that they had for the announcement? And if yes, or if not, do you like something that you see on the new update? What's the most interesting thing that you see on the latest version, Manfred?
Well, one thing I'm really excited about is zoneless. So finally, we are getting zoneless. We are talking about it since years. I had this discussion with my colleagues the other day. I think already in 2017 or something, a person that was quite near to the Angular team proposed a push pipe. And this was the first approach. It was more or less not an approach, it was a proof of concept that showed that it's possible to go zoneless. And now we really get it. Finally, we get it in a very nice way, in a way that is not breaking. So the existing stuff works nicely together with the new stuff.
And Fanny?
Yeah, that's amazing. It's onless as well for the last versions. I think 17 and the minor versions of 17 had most of them. Just I think 18, if I'm not mistaken, the defer block is not anymore under developer preview and other changes. But I think that the biggest one is the zoneless. And for the live stream, yeah, we had one in Angular Athens to run that, and yeah, it was a good one. It was fun.
And if you have the power to make them do one thing that we are missing right now, what is the one thing that you will suggest to have it in the next version, something that we don't have right now. Manfred?
Is it about a realistic feature or about a wish?
Anything, I will say.
Anything.
You can
So
answer whatever you want.
I think a realistic feature is to get signals for forms and for the router. And I think something that will just be a wish is an integration of module federation so that we can nicely implement micro front ends with Angular. Currently, we need third-party vendor tools for it.
And Fanny?
I'm still thinking. I have a background process that I haven't finished yet. Sorry about that. A cool feature. I will start with a minor one, a minor feature before I go to the major. A minor could be just improve the test cadence of how to unit test the different blocks, which is it's not yet there. Uh, and the other one, I haven't played around that much with SSR, but I have very less exposed into that one, but I feel like that there is more improvements into the SSR to work as expected. But again, I'm not that expert into that part, and I cannot elaborate more on that one. But this is the part that I wanted to have better, let's say.
And I have two questions for Manfred. And let's talk about performance. What did Angular do to improve the performance aspect?
So as Fanny already told us, we have now those deferrables, we have server-side rendering. I mean, we always had it, but now it's really nicely integrated. And it's really blazing fast, at least blazing fast compared with what we had before. And all you need to do is to engineer a new application with --SSR, and you have all this goodness. So it's really streamlined. Sooner or later, I think rather sooner than later, we will get partial hydration, where everything is rendered on the server side, but only downloaded when needed on some triggers, when some trigger appears or when some events come up. And yeah, I think this together with also signals will help to improve their performance. Saying this, signals are not per se improving the performance that much currently. If you have observables, RxJS, and use it in a correct way, then you already have this kind of performance. However, I think signals make it easier to get this kind of performance because they are by design easier than observables. Easier, but not that powerful. But hopefully for most of the cases, they are good enough. And for other cases, you switch over to RxJS.
And
Yeah,
as you
partial
mentioned
hydration.
before,
Yeah, I think
sorry,
partial
Fanis.
hydration will be amazing. It will be very cool one, very cool one. Sorry, Lena.
And Manfred, as you mentioned before, you are dealing with a lot of front-end architecture in your day job. What tips can you give us regarding this and how we can deal with front-end architecture?
Well, there are a lot of topics, but something I really find vital is if you have a large application, let's say several people work on it or even several teams work on it, it would be a good idea to verticalize your application, to cut it into verticals. In domain-driven design, we call those verticals domains or contexts. And in domain-driven design, they also mirror elements, areas of the real world. So looking out into the real world, finding nice boundaries like business domains and establishing them in your source code can really help, because then you hopefully end up with several business domains that don't need to know much about each other. So they are not coupled to each other, And so different people, different teams can work on their business domains without influencing other people that much. And finally, once you have established your business domains in the source code, you can think about how to implement them. Some people implement them in a monolithic application, and then they use some linting rules to assure that one business domain don't bleeds into other business domains. Some people go with several libraries to represent those business domains. Some people just go with folders. Some people go with micro frontends. In this case, each and every domain becomes one micro frontend with a lot of advantages, but also challenges if you go down this road. But I think already this short discussion shows that going with verticals, with business domains is key, and then you can decide how to implement all of them.
And let's go to another direction, and I will make a more spicy question, let's say. I know we are from Angular Athens community, but I will ask this question. Have you ever considered moving out of Angular ecosystem and mastering any other framework that seems to be interesting? Fanny?
So from my side, I was experimenting with different frameworks like React, Vue, and I didn't find that kind of thing that Angular has out of the box for us. So like I said previously, I was trying to find out A, B, or C, and I had to make my decisions. But as a newcomer to a new framework, you don't know, so you have to play around. So okay, let's say that I'm a senior in Angular and I'm entering a new company as a developer of another framework. So I feel like that I would be a junior since I don't know what kind of path I have to follow. But since we don't have everything out of the box, this is for forms, this is for routing, this is. So no, I don't think that I would move from Angular to answer the
And that's
question.
not a paid answer.
No, it's not a paid answer.
Manfred, what about you?
Not really. So I really like Angular, and I cannot do several frameworks at once because my goal is to really go deep in one framework, which is Angular here, because I want to help other people with their daily issues. And so I really need to concentrate on one thing and go deep there. But I'm playing around like funny with other frameworks. For instance, I looked into Quick. I learned a lot about the concepts there. There are really smart concepts in there. I played around with SolidJS. SolidJS already had the signals idea several years before. And so learning SolidJS really helped me to understand signals in Angular better. And the thing is also the Angular team is really talking a lot with Ryan from the SolidJS team, and that's why we have kind of a similar mindset in both areas. And I looked into it because also there I wanted to learn how it works over there, and this also helps me in my Angular work.
And since you are both mentioned, you have children and probably you don't have a lot of time, I will ask how you work, how you improve your work-life balance during your days. Fanny?
Uh, I'm not. So I'm really trying to improve that. But what I really like the agile methodologies. I really like them, not as a process, but as a mindset, especially Kanban and Scrum. And how is it related to this one? I have a Kanban board, not a normal board, but like the mindset. And every day I'm typing, these are the tasks that I have to follow. And I'm writing them down and I have to follow with them. And if something is not done, I have to move that to the next day. So I try to plan my day, and I try to plan also my week, so that I can make it happen. This is somehow the way that I'm managing the work-life balance.
Manfred?
Sure. Yeah, so finally, when it comes to managing tasks, I have a similar approach. I have my task list and I substructure it into what do I want to do today, what do I want to do this week, and what do I want to do perhaps some time later. And this really works well. I decided for this approach because I have an agile background. We started quite early with agile methodologies. And back then, it was not the go-to solution. Back then, we really had to argue a lot why agile is a good thing. Meanwhile, I think it's normal that people at least follow an agile process, regardless if it is really agile or not. But a lot of people do Scrum nowadays or similar things. So this helps me. Besides this, I'm really not the right person to talk about life. How do you call it? Life
Balance.
balance.
Balance,
Yeah,
yeah.
work-life balance that much because I'm really bad at it. I work a lot, but I really love my job, so it's not that bad. Meanwhile, I try to get a lot of stuff done during my children are in school. And on the afternoon, when they are playing with their mommy and doing homework, in the evening, I'm playing with them. And when they are in bed, then I try to go on with some further stuff. This sounds a bit dramatic, but on the other time, this gives me the freedom to sleep in. I start working at 9 or 9:30 in the morning. Plus, sometimes if I don't have that many tasks I need to do now, I can already play with my children in the afternoon or even in
I
the
know
early morning.
Fanis, he's working remotely. Manfred, are you working also remotely from home?
Well, it's a mixture. I'm at home or I'm with my customers.
Okay.
But I don't have an office. I sit here at home or I sit at my customers.
Uh-huh.
So a side question
And
in that one. Uh, I remember that I had a discussion with other colleagues of mine, and I realized that it depends on somehow the culture on what time you go to bed and what time you get up from the bed. I think Greeks are not that good in that way. I will go to bed very late, something like, I don't know, 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., something like that. And then you got a lot of time to get up in the morning. What is the situation in Austria, Manfred? Do you, by culture, go early into the bed, or yeah, how it is?
Yeah. So I would say in my heart, I'm really Greek after I've heard this because I really like to work long and sleep in. But most people here go early to bed and get up early. So getting up early is a sign of being productive and busy and a good worker. And I don't meet this stereotype, even though I'm getting several things done. So I think my approach also works. I mean,
And,
it's just about shifting times and hours around.
and when you say early, you mean early like 6 a.m., something like that? Or
Yeah, a lot of people get up at 6 a.m. In
it's
our
already
case,
night.
the bus picks our children, I think, at 7 a.m.
Okay. Yeah.
And so school starts um, 15 minutes before 8. So everything is early here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. I see. Yeah, good one.
okay, I have a last question. I don't see any questions from YouTube, so this will be our last question. Otherwise, do you have specific goals that you want to achieve in the next few years, Manfred?
Well, what do I want to do in the next few years? So currently, I'm really happy with my situation. I hope it will go on that way. I work together with an awesome team. It's really a lot of fun and also motivating to have that many cool discussions with them. That's why we are all together going to Greece tomorrow. So we will spend some time all together in a road before some of us fly over to Athens for CityJS. Yeah, I think that's it.
Nice. Funny?
So from my side, you know the thing that they're saying for New Year resolution when you have to think about what you did and what you're going to achieve. I don't have that every December or January. I have that every summer, since this is the time where I sit a lot, I calm down, and introspect myself and things like that. So with this, what I'm going to say is that I like having long-term plans, but I really like also to have plans for a year. And for that year, my plan was mainly to be more active into the community and find time with my daughter since a little one, and yeah, and becoming better from what I'm currently doing. Every day I try just to become a bit better. Nothing special in terms of plan.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So we are at the end of our interview. Thank you both for this conversation, and thank you all for watching our conversation on YouTube. I hope to see you. I will no. I hope I will see you in CityJS next week. Just a reminder for the ones that are watching us. On June 6th, we are going to have a pre-conference meetup. And of course, the main event on June 8th. So I will see you all in person. Bye
Awesome. See you
bye.
there.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.